coming up on Refresh Cinema.
And they tell everyone else, get up on your roof. They're going to come through the floor. Melvin gets up on the roof of the ship. He's like, no way, man. I can't get up there. And then boom, right as he says that, Melvin, shut your mouth, bro. Hey, everybody, I'm Vincent.
And I'm Jess.
And this is Refresh Cinema.
And today we are discussing one of Vincent's favorite movies. We are discussing Tremors today.
Yeah!
Yay!
Okay, yeah, so we mentioned this in our last video where we were talking about the Shia LaBeouf movie Holes. If you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description and up in the corner, unless I forget. Yeah, and we mentioned like next one we were doing a movie that isn't a kids movie because the last two we did were kids movies. But yeah, Tremors. I think I've always loved this film. I've watched it so many times, especially as a kid when it probably wasn't meant for kids. But I watched it I watched it on television where they cut out some of the other stuff. But growing up, of course, I watch it all the way through uncut, and yeah, it's an interesting movie for me because, and you know this, I'm not a big horror movie guy. Mm-hmm. Not a hater of horror movies. It's just not a genre that I have a particular passion for. You know, I've watched some horror movies over the years. You know, like I've seen the recent It movie. I've seen some of the Friday the 13th from the 80s, here and there. So I'm not a horror hater. Just, if you put a sci-fi, fantasy, drama, and horror movies in front of me, I'd probably always pick horror last. But this was one of the movies that was different for me. Mostly because I've always loved giant monsters. If I've not made that clear with my Godzilla shirt here, my favorite movie monster, the King. But yeah, so this is
Is Tremors classified as horror?
I mean, it's a campy horror.
It's scary.
Yeah, because like
of the worms.
Yes, because we have a movie about giant underground creatures eating people. There are moments of gore in the film.
It would be a horrible thing to go through.
Yes,
horrible thing. Horrible. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You keep doing you. That's why I asked you to do this. That's why I asked you to do the show with me. You keep doing you.
All right.
But you didn't grow up watching this film, right?
No, the first time I watched it, I had perhaps seen like minutes of it until your bachelor party. Oh, how much detail do we want to give? We'll give a little bit of detail.
How about we save it for later? Because now we've put the bait out.
Oh.
Now you guys like, wait, what happened at the bachelor party?
Oh my God.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, because I know you really want to talk about that because
it was cute.
But yeah, so Tremors, starring Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, R.I.P. Fred Ward. About two guys, Val and Earl, who are handymen in the little town of Perfection, Nevada, a literal town in the middle of nowhere. They even say in the movie like they're in the middle of this valley and they're surrounded by mountains and stuff. Nearest town is a place called Bixby. That's like the big city. But Val and Earl, a couple of handymen in a small town with like a population of like 10 people maybe.
Not a lot. And they just do all the crappy jobs that nobody else wants to do, and they're getting tired of it, and like, fine, that's it, we're packing up, we're going to Bixby, we're going to big city, we're going to make new lives for ourselves. But then a string of horrible murders start to happen, and every time they try to get back out of town, another murder pops up, and next thing you know, they're fighting for their lives against these creatures of unknown origin. And it is all awesome. It is so good. I'm going to be gushing like a schoolgirl throughout this entire discussion. You will be. I know you
will. But yeah, no, it's a really cool movie that has had multiple sequels. In fact, I have the 7 total. In fact, behind you, I have the Tremors movie 6-pack that I got right before the 7th came out. So yeah, I've got all of them. I've seen all of them at least once, some more than others. The second one I've seen a bunch of times too. In fact, me and Ashley, my wife, we watched the second one just the other night because she hadn't seen the second one, so we decided to watch it. And that'd probably be the last one I showed to her because the other ones tend to be
not so good.
Not so good, mediocre to just like full blown crap. Especially.
Dang. Okay.
That pisses me off.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, after the second one, I think the only one that's really interesting is the fourth one because it's set like 100 years before the first movie, and it's cowboys versus Tremors.
Ooh, okay.
Or graboids. I know somebody's going to go nuts in the comments because I call them Tremors instead of graboids. But yeah, so I am a big Tremors fan. I've seen all the movies, but I will admit, like as they go on, they become way too low budget and just and but not the first one, not the first.
That's why we're here.
Yes. So let's go over some of the characters because, like I said, it's a small town, but each one of these characters are memorable in their own way. We got Kevin Bacon as Val.
Yes.
And he's part of the duo with Earl, played by Fred Ward. And they've got this kind of like brotherly dynamic where Earl is the older brother because he's older than Val, and he's still the young playboy. I like the ladies and all that.
Playboy. He looks about as backwoods as they come. He's got his mullet, his cut off tee, hat, his little brim hat.
He's got his big belt buckle, which is just
a
heart with like a lady silhouette. They come across this one character named Rhonda, played by Finn Carter, who's just like this. She's going to college. She's a seismologist, and she's out there because they got these like seismographs, and she's supposed to out there taking notes and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh, that's a new college student. She's supposed to be a woman." And he turns the wheel of the car, and he's like, "You will have
long blonde hair, big green eyes, world-class breasts, ass that won't quit, and legs that go all the way up,
and legs that go all the way up." And it's just Kevin Bacon hamming it up, and it's great. And then you come across Rhonda, who's got like a little hat on. She's got brown hair.
Brown hair. SPF all over her nose.
Not, and he's just like so disappointed.
Yeah.
And she introduces her. She's nice. She's very, she's just happy to see anybody. She's like, "Oh, great." Earl's being much more gentlemanly. Like Val's not being mean or nothing, but he's definitely disinterested. And then they're like, "Oh, I've been getting really weird readings all over the valley from all the seismographs." And they're like, "Well," and she's like, "Is there any blasting going around, any mining?" And they're like, "Not that we know, but we'll ask back in town." And they do. They drive off, and then Earl gives Val crap for like
objectifying.
Yeah, objectifying her, and like she's not like blonde, and you're total list. And he's like that last girl you had was her name Terry Lynn Aker, and he's like
Tammy Lynn Baxter.
So they go back down. We meet all the other characters. We meet Walter Chang, who's the owner of the convenience store, and he's like this slick guy that's always trying to make a buck off everybody. He's trying to get Val and Earl to do like their handy job business for like less money all the time. He's just, and part of me can't blame the guy because like how much business could he be making
in a town with 10 people?
Exactly. We got Miguel, who's a local cattle rancher, nice guy, very chill. Next, we have Nestor, who's kind of the generic redneck of the town. There's his son Melvin, I think is his son, because
that punk ass kid.
Yeah, he's always causing trouble and like throwing his basketball around and stuff like that
at people.
Yeah, we got Nancy, and her daughter Mindy, the only like family in town.
I got a bone to pick with Mindy. We'll talk about it later.
Oh my God. But anyway, Mindy.
She's like 6 or 7.
She's like she's under 10. And she's going on her pogo stick. Apparently, she tries to break her own pogo stick record all the time, and she's got like.
She puts her headphones in. She likes her music.
She's just focused. She's in the moment. We got Bert and Heather. Heather played by Reba
McEntire.
I know,
yes.
And they're great. And they're the local gun nuts survival end of the world. We're ready for World War III when it comes. They
got a bomb shelter. Guns on guns on guns.
They're ready to go, and their shining moment later in the movie is incredible. We'll get to it. But anyway, yeah. So we meet all the characters. Everyone's got their own quirks. Everyone's kind of memorable in their own way. Miguel mentions that some of his cattle have been missing lately, and you're like, ooh, yeah.
Where are they?
But Val and Earl, they're fed up with their life and perfection. We get a montage of all the odd jobs they do. Like they were like putting up fence earlier. We have this funny scene where Val's the first. He's taking a leak off a cliff. Earl's not awake yet. He's asleep in the back of the truck.
Oh, that's right.
And then he's like, he sees the cows, Miguel's cows in the distance, and he's like, he gets to land. He starts shaking the back bed of the truck, and he's like, "Stampede, Earl, stampede!" And he falls out, and he's like, Earl's like, you know, like Fred Ward also hamming it up in his own way.
Yes.
He's like,
You dumb.
I love this scene. This is very minor, but well, it comes back in later. They're stringing the fence. They're using like their barbed wire or whatever. And he's got to put like a staple or something over it and hammer it in.
Yeah.
And we see him miss the staple and miss the staple and miss the staple.
and I wonder, because I'm glad you pointed that out, because I was going to bring that up. Did Kevin Bacon legitimately couldn't hit the damn thing, or was that him playing into the character?
Yeah, because I loved it. I cackled. It was great.
Because like afterwards, like Earl looks at it like, you get it? Like, but then they do other stuff, like they're talking about like how we gotta do this today.
Lay tile for someone.
Yeah. At one point they gotta, because there's a little town, they have to empty the septic tank.
Oh.
And I love how the septic tank punk is something they have to rent from Chang. Like Chang's making a buck everywhere. Like they gotta rent everything from him. And they're arguing about like, oh, like, you know, our lives suck. It's like, this is your fault. Like, you blaming it on me. And then the septic tank bursts and they get covered in like, nastiness.
It is dark.
Just like their lives.
Oh, it is.
So that's it. They decide we are done. They pack up the car. They put on like their nice clothes and then they think, you know, not their work clothes. They're about to leave town. Nancy comes up to them and is like, guys, I need help because of my furnace, because she makes pottery. That's her business, I guess. And they're like, come on. And they're like, oh my God, you guys are really leaving. Yeah, we're heading to Bixby. We're leaving this. We're going to make new lives. And she's like, come on, please do this one last job for me. I'll give you lunch. And they're like, eh. And then she's like, I'll throw in beer. And they're like, we are men. And then they take off and they go down the road and like, oh, I can't believe we turned down free beer. And
they're so proud of themselves.
Exactly. Because like they're just blue collar dudes just trying to make a living. But then they're going down and they see up on one of like the electrical towers. They see a guy up there.
They know who he is. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, why do I forget this guy's name? Guy who's watched this movie a million times.
Yeah, Vincent.
Because I know the other guy's name, the other old guy later in the movie is named Edgar. That's the old guy. And
Jimbo.
Something Dean. I forget what his name is.
Jimmy Dean.
Jimmy Dean. Sausage.
So they're like, Jimmy Dean's up there slumped over drunk again. I gotta get his ass down.
Yeah.
So Kevin Bacon climbs up the whole time.
After doing rock, paper, scissors, which is a major thing in the movie, where they every time that Val and Earl don't want to, like, they're like, who's doing what? They rock, paper, scissors. And Earl is the rock, paper, scissors champ.
Well, he's always throwing scissors and Kevin's always throwing paper. Gotta wise up. So Kevin loses. He climbs up the whole time. He's like, I gotta get this guy down here. And then he dead.
Yeah.
He dead. He's out.
He's dried out. They take him to the local doctor who's building their house. Him and his wife.
Don't they just like put him in the back of their truck?
Yeah, they put a tarp over him.
Yeah, they're like, this guy died.
Yeah. But yeah, it's this great moment where he's just like, he's totally dead, and take him to the doctor. He's like, what happened to him? Did he like have a heart attack or something? And he's like, he died of dehydration. And he's like, doesn't that take like a couple days? And he's like, sometimes it takes 3 or 4. And he's like, he just sat up there for 3 or 4 days, which then builds a mystery. Why would somebody sit up on top of a tower for several days and just die of thirst?
Yeah. And
like all this other stuff happening, sort of like whatever. They get back in the car and they're like, we got to get to Bixby. This is not our problem anymore. And then they come across old Edgar's sheep farm, and they go and they're driving by and they notice all the sheep are slaughtered. There's like pieces of them all over the place. Oh,
did we see what happens though before this? It shows us what happens.
Yes. So throughout the movie, we've been noticing that there is some kind of creature low to the ground or in the ground. And we see Fred's sheep freaking out. They're like, or whatever.
And they're trying to run, but they're in their pen and they can't go anywhere.
And Fred's like, what's going on? And then we see him get dragged down into the ground, a puff of like dirt and stuff. We're like, what the hell? So Val and Noah show up. The sheep are like, what's left of them is all over the place. They see Fred's old hat on the ground. So,
I just had a bad thought.
Oh.
Sheep are all over the place, and I was like, you couldn't even make a salad. You can cut that
Nothing. There's no meat left. Couldn't even make a salad. Barely make a hat. I'm sorry.
That's staying in.
Okay. So, sorry.
Yeah,
Please continue.
They pull off the hat, and Fred's face is just in the decapitated head, like, ah!
Exactly like that.
So they start freaking out. They're like,
What the hell's going on? I mean, what the hell is going on?
I love Kevin Bacon's over, because Kevin Bacon is a legitimately talented actor, but you can tell he's hamming it up and acting up and chewing it up.
Well, didn't he not want to do that movie?
What?
He didn't want to do that movie
Which
originally?
No,
There was one he didn't want to do.
he was going to do the second one, but he had other obligations at the time.
Okay.
Which is probably why the second one did not get released theatrically. The second
Yeah.
one got released to home video, and that's no disrespect to the actors who are in the second one, but Kevin Bacon is the top billed actor in the film,
Yeah.
and your top billed actor does have a lot of pull. But
And he was really going for it.
yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
the way they played those characters.
yeah, no, it's just great. It's all the lines, as you can tell. I can say all the lines.
Yeah. So they're running back to town to
Yeah.
tell people, right? And they come across the two construction workers.
Yeah, they're doing road work.
And dude and dude are like, get out of here. There are like murders happening. You got to go.
Yeah, and the road is like, they're pulling our chain.
Uh-huh.
Guy's jackhammering it, and then he hits something, and orange and red goo starts spurting out of the ground. He's like, what? And then the jackhammer takes off up the mountain. The guy gets wrapped in a cord. He gets pulled up, and he's like, oh, God. And he's like, dude, no. And it's like avalanche. It takes out the other road worker.
Mm-hmm.
They get...
It's brutal.
It is brutal. So, yeah, they go... Yeah,
Because what are they called? Graboids. Grabs. What you call it?
graboids.
Yes.
That's what the name they're eventually given.
Yes, the graboids are attracted to any kind of movement that they can feel. So the jackhammering was like sending out a beam or a flare to them. Like,
Yeah.
come here and eat us.
Yeah. And that's something we don't learn till a little later in the film. Is because there's a mystery. It's like, well, how are they finding people? It's okay. If you didn't realize we're going to spoil this movie,
Sorry.
no, it's okay.
Well, I've only seen this movie once.
Yeah,
So I am not as well versed
it's okay.
as you are.
Yeah, but anyway, so they go back into town to warn everybody, and but eventually, they go to head back out of Alan Earl, but the avalanche took out the road.
Mm-hmm.
So they back up, and at one point the car gets stuck, and it's doesn't know why it's going. It's starting to stall out. They pull back. They go back into town and be like, guys, the road's out. And then little Mindy screams, and she's like, oh God, what the f***? And there's some kind of snake thing strapped to the back of the car under the undercarriage.
Big, thick buddy.
Yeah, and it's ripped off. Yeah.
Thick buddy.
And they tell him thing stalled out the truck, and they're like, what? And then they start to realize wait a second, there's got to be a ton. There's got to be more than one of these things if they've been killing people and sheep and left and right. So Bert and Heather are kind of digging it a little too much, because this is they prepared for survival stuff, but everyone gives them hell. But they're not wrong. I'm sorry to say the gun nuts are right. There's snake monsters out there, and they got to get stopped. So they give horses to Val and Earl and force them to ride out because the road's gone. Without the main road, none of their cars can make it out of the mountains. So they give them these horses to go up an old trail. You got the doctor and his wife who are building. They apparently just moved to Perfection Valley. They're still building their house, and they're having a night, and their generator goes out, and so they got to go check on it, and it's gone. It's just gone, and then it shoots out of the ground out of nowhere, and the doctor thinks it's a geyser because there's also this smell. That's another thing about the graboids. They stink.
They smell like a geyser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very specific.
And then we have this horrifying scene where the doctor's like, could be a geyser. He's really excited, and the wife's like, get in the car. This is scary. And and then he gets grabbed and he's slowly pulled down into the ground. It's a very terrifying scene.
And she's trying to save them and pull them out, and they're a little older.
Yeah.
And he's yelling, "Save me, save me!"
Oh,
and
help!
she's trying.
It's a really scary scene and well done by both actors.
It's too well done. And the thing is, the graboids usually take you and just snatch you.
Yeah.
But this one was really slow.
Yeah.
Perhaps for dramatic effect and wanting to make me upset.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to add some sense to it, maybe like because it tried to eat their power generator, and maybe that it messed up the graboid, and that's why it's moving slower. But
like, I must investigate this snack thoroughly first.
Yes.
So she runs to her car. Alas, this is where we learn that they take out your tires and they sink your whole battleship, and they take the entire car down.
Yeah, and that just shows you how dangerous it is that they can pull and bury an entire car on the ground. A station wagon, so it's a big fat car. Mm-hmm. And then Val and Earl find it later because like she actually turned the radio on and they can hear it, but they're like, "Where's the music coming from?" And they start like pushing away and swiping away the dirt.
And the headlights are on.
Yeah, it's a crazy scene, but another reason why this movie is so damn good.
You can see I'm like visibly bothered.
Yeah,
just thinking about it.
I know, no, it's a hard scene to watch, but it just goes to show you just how, like, again, how good the movie is because you're terrified, you're sad, you know, like this is like, yeah, and this is all before we see them what they really look like.
Yeah,
which I would love if I could just like if I somehow for like a one day I could not know what Tremors is and rewatch it and have that first moment where you're like,
I could hit you real good with something.
So after seeing that insanity, Val and Earl just ride hard towards the mountains. They are picking up speed.
And while they're out there, the horses get attacked. And they realize, they come out from out of the ground and bite them. And they have this scene where it's like the horse is just like wrestling around. And it's like,
it's sad. Why'd they have to show that?
I don't know. That horse better got some ton of sugar cubes after they filmed that scene.
Right. All the snackies.
Yeah, so they shoot the one thing and it lets go the horse, but too late. The horses are dead now. And then the big reveal, like the ground starts swelling up underneath. They pull back and they're like, there must be a million of them. And then boom, it pops out of the ground and a worm the size of a whale pops out with a beak. And they're like, and the snakes are just like these tentacles that pop out of the mouth.
Its mouth.
Yeah. Can I take a moment to talk about the graboids, the design of them?
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
It's an Alaskan poolworm! It's from SpongeBob.
Okay.
People will get it. I'm sorry.
So like I said earlier, the other night I watched the second movie with my wife. And every time we watch one of these Tremors movies, she brings up that SpongeBob episode.
I'm a child of the 90s. What can I do?
I didn't actually grow up watching SpongeBob. When SpongeBob started to get famous is when I started to like clean off Nickelodeon. So
yeah.
I know. But anyway, I love the design of the graboids because like they run from the damn thing because they can't shoot it. It's like the size of a whale. They're rifling and do nothing. They fall into like an aqueduct and the thing's following them and it rams into the concrete and dies on impact.
Yeah.
And then Rhonda shows up and she's like, "Hey guys, what's going on?"
What's happening? Like, how did she not see any of that?
I know, little nitpicky things like that. But then she sees a monster. They crack open the cement wall. They take a look at. Val digs up the end. The thing's got to be at least 20 feet long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big thing, and I love the design because they're so unique. Because they could have just gone with like giant underground worm. And it's got like maybe some like pincers up front.
Lots of teepees.
Yeah, but it's got a beak. I kind of like that. Kind of like how it made like the beak is like a piercing kind of motion for it to get through the ground. And it's big, and the snakes being the tentacles. And they figure out, this thing hunts through sound. This is when they start getting chased by the other ones, by another one. And they realize like, well, how can it know they go hiding up on a rock? How can it know?
Because it has no eyes.
It has no eyes. It's not smelling through the ground. They figure like, that's it. It's been attracted to sound. They're hunting. And they just, without saying lock onto something, they do not leave the area until they've eaten the thing. And they're like, well, we're now stuck on a rock. And that's a great thing. They're such a unique monster. And I think that's one of the reasons why, even though this movie has its horror elements, it didn't scare me as a kid. Because if you've got a giant monster, I'm in. That's how you get me into something. You know, like I love like the Japanese kaiju films, but anything else with a giant monster, I'm going to be interested in. It's got the beak, it's got the tentacles, it comes through sound. Its body is lined with all these spikes, which they figure the spikes push it through the dirt. That's how it goes through it. And, it can't go through rock. So if they're up on a boulder or something, they're genuinely safe. Just really great monster movie design, and the beak and the claws. And, I think it's definitely one of the top movie monsters of all time, in my opinion. Like, if we're not counting, like, the Universal Dracula and Mummy and Wolfman thing, graboids, great monsters. So they killed the one, but Rhonda figures out, based on her seismograph readings, there's got to be 3 more out there. They get stuck on a boulder for a night.
They're on the boulder. Did they get back into town, or are they immediately stuck on the boulder?
They're immediately stuck. They're immediately stuck on the boulder after the first one dies from ramming into the concrete. They're there overnight, and they wake up, and Rhonda got Val's jacket on her to keep her warm.
Cute.
And they had this little moment, and you start to see that Val is like opening up, and he's like, he's seeing the woman and not just like, some college student.
She's so beautiful.
Finn Carter is a good-looking woman. Yeah.
Well, she's gotten into some dicey situations recently.
Really?
Some felony charges, 14 stolen credit cards.
Really? You did some research.
Well, I just Googled her to see what she was up to, and it was the first thing that came up.
Yeah.
And then the judge was like, where do you live? And she's like, I have a place I can stay.
That's unfortunate, because I looked her up on IMDb, and she hasn't acted in years.
Yeah.
So that is unfortunate that kind of stuff has happened to her, because she's really good in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no.
I know. If she was so beautiful, she didn't fit his long blonde hair thing.
Yeah,
but
it's close-minded of this is beauty, this is not beauty.
Yeah.
No, she's definitely a good-looking woman, and she's just so nice and sweet, and she's very different from everyone else in town. She's an educated city girl. She's got a different vibe, and I like that. It's a good contrast with Val.
Yeah.
But anyway, the graboid's still out there, and Rhonda comes up with the idea. She finds some wood from I guess an old fence posting that someone left behind, and they use it to pole vault to various rocks. They get back in her truck, and they hightail it back into town. And they gotta tell, and they're telling everybody and nobody's really getting it. They understand there's a threat, but nobody's really understanding how big and monstrous these creatures.
The magnitude of the threat.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, worms, cool.
Yeah, and they're all discussing. Okay, we gotta get out of town. We gotta go up the old Jeep trail through the mountains, but it's too late. The graboids have made it into the town. The last 3 are in town. They go after Melvin first. He lives. Unfortunately. This is where we start seeing things that got set up earlier in the film. Mindy's pogo stick, Melvin bouncing his basketball, the bulldozer we see Val and Earl using earlier in the movie. A lot of stuff comes back into play. Everything gets paid off. So the attack happens. Melvin's bouncing his basketball, and and he screams. Everyone thinks Melvin's screwing around again. But then he's on top of the store side. He
oh yeah.
He reversed fireman pulled that thing. And that's
because it almost got him, right?
Yeah, his leg's cut.
Yeah,
they took a bite out of him, and then they realize oh, and then
so they have to run back to the store for safety.
They have to run back to the store for safety. Mindy's on her poke. Is this the part you want to talk about?
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
But does the soda machine happen before or after Mindy?
That's happens after Mindy.
Does it?
Yeah, it happens after everyone gets into their abode.
Okay, so they think they're safe for a hot minute, right?
Yeah.
And then there's Mindy on her flim-flamin' pogo stick. She doesn't have a care in the world. And it's if they all just would have gone into the store and stood still, maybe, things wouldn't have gone topsy-turvy. But there she is, just, yay, I'm just happy and pogoing. And the dang graboid comes back. Yeah. Because this little brat's having the time of her life. And that just gets me all fired up. Mindy is to blame for the entire thing. It was her pogo stick that brought them here.
Pogo sticks ruin America.
That's true. Put that on a t-shirt.
Oh, God. Yeah, but we have all these moments in the town where, so they go back to the Walter Chain store. Rhonda gets stuck. One of the graboids, comes out of nowhere, and she gets rolled up into the, spared barbed wire that's, hanging around.
Oh, yeah, and she can't get the barbed wire off.
I know. And,
it's dragging her, and it's so close.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought Melvin's gonna come through with, an axe or something, and he's gonna, redeem himself.
No.
He does not.
No, but anyway, they try all kinds of stuff. Val grabs a pickaxe and slams it into the monster, which is funny because Hector said earlier, I'm going to hit him with a 5-pound pickaxe. And then Val actually hits one, and the graboid's like, bitch, what the...
Yeah, it has no effect.
Yeah. he's able to get Rhonda out of it by taking off her pants, and she's like all cut up from the barbed wire.
Oh, yeah.
They get back in, and they're all trying to stay quiet in the store. And once again, Val and Rhonda have a nice little moment where he's like...
Taking the alcohol pads.
Yeah, cleaning her wounds.
And she's all vulnerable.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And he's being complete gentleman. He's not being...
He is. And then they happen to have pants that perfectly fit her. Extra pants.
Yeah.
Chang's got everything in that store.
He does.
He does.
Maybe they should have made him just a little baggy. Just to be like, it's the best we could do, Rhonda. Yeah, but... Then, the soda machine. There's another thing that gets set up early in the film where he's like, a soda cooler has like a bad engine, and it starts going like the engine starts making a loud noise.
And he's like, Val and Earl, can you fix this? And like, we got to do. We can't fix your dumb soda machine.
And then it starts making that noise again. They're like,
and it's rattling.
It's rattling. It's making huge noise. Like, we gotta turn it off. Turn it off. And they try to like pull it away.
Yeah, but as they're trying to pull it away, doesn't Kevin Bacon jump on it? Which would make it harder to pull away.
I think he's just like in fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get to the back plug. And they're like,
and then they have to like knock over a bunch of soda cans to try to get to it.
Yeah. And then, boom, up through the ground when the graboids comes, grabs onto Walter Chang. And another terrifying, kudos to Victor Wong, who plays Walter Chang. Some people know him from Big Trouble in Little China. Other people know him from being the grandpa to Three Ninjas movies. Just another great character. He gets grabbed and he's just like another terrifying, because a giant monster comes out, wraps its teeth around and pulls him down. The snakes.
Ugh. It's hard to watch.
Yeah, he gets pulled down and like and they're like,
and it's a little slower too.
Yeah. Another one to add that dramatic effect. But now another one pops up through another side of the floor. And they gotta scramble for the roof. Rhonda's on top of shelves. She gets knocked out a window, and it's like,
oh, because one of the worms hits one shelf and it dominoes.
Exactly.
And Kevin's like, "Do it, Rhonda. You can jump over here." And then she just falls right out the window.
Yeah. He's like, oh my God, they're going to eat her. But no, she made it to the water tower next door. So she's going to be okay.
Yes.
And they tell everyone else, get up on your roof. They're going to come through the floor. Melvin gets up on the roof of the ship. And he's like, no way, man. I can't get up there. And then boom, right as he says that, Melvin, shut your mouth, bro.
And where are Bert and Reba?
Bert, oh yeah. Earlier in the movie, they said they went out looking for Rhonda. So they got in their they don't have a Jeep, but they have like a four-wheel drive truck.
Yeah.
So they were out driving around looking for Rhonda. Just Val and Earl happened to bump into them. So they're not in town. They're only, even though their house is like kind of like a mile away from the rest of everybody else, because they like their isolation.
But they can see each other with binoculars.
Yeah, totally.
Well, yeah.
So, I also want to take a minute. I want to talk about the practical effects in this movie. I love practical effects. I love anything that's a miniature or a puppet or a big like animatronic thing.
Oh yeah, what are the practical effects in this?
I mean, we got plenty. We got animatronics. They literally built like, I mean, you can tell because like they had some that characters get like in the worms, like Walter.
Yeah.
Full size animatronic, graboids. Some of them were puppet work. Some of them were just a guy with a hand.
Oh, that's fun.
But it's done really well. There, obviously, of course, some miniature work with the puppetry and stuff like that. And so much of it has held up so very well. There's only one scene where I think it didn't look that good anymore. There's some green screen used into it, but I love it. And if you look up online, you can see for the scenes where like the actors are right next to the graboid and they pop out of the ground, they literally dug bunkers underneath the ground and put a false ground over them so the animatronic can pop up, on a some kind of pneumatic or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing on CG effects. I'm just one of those guys that think that CG gets a little overused, especially nowadays when every movie costs $250 billion to make.
Bananas.
But anyways, everyone's up on their roofs. They got to come up with a plan. They're not sure what the hell to do. And then finally, yes, Bert and Heather come back from their scouting trip to look for Heather. They're in their house, and one of the gun people is going to have to explain this to me because I don't know. They turn on some kind of machine where they put like bullets or bullet casings into like sand, and it starts like
making a lot of noise.
Yeah, I don't know what it is or what purpose it has. So any of the gun people, let us know down in the comments what that machine is. But it's making a lot of noise, and everyone back in town can see the graboids head towards their house because there's like dust trails that pop up.
Yeah.
And like they're trying to call each other on the radio. It's like, Bert, giant underground monsters. They're bigger than we thought. They're coming. And Bert and Heather just look at each other. Instead of getting up on their roof like Val's telling them to, they immediately just grab their guns, load up. They're tracking, like, loading up. They're looking out the windows. They're like, I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing. And we're like, Val, what's going on? I don't see nothing. They're under the ground. Big monster motherfuckers. and then all of a sudden, like, you start to hear, like, the wall starts pulsating a little bit. And then, boom, the graboids come smashing through their cinder block wall. And then over the radio from Val's on the radio, you hear Bert go, Jesus And that's it, they got Bert and Heather, and was like, oh man. And then gunshots in the distance, and they're like, oh my God, they're fighting back.
Yeah.
They were just stunned for a few seconds because a giant worm just burst through the wall. And at least I've seen that has a family memory for me. Years ago, I don't remember how many years ago, I was definitely still a kid. We were over my Uncle Joe and Aunt Maria's house, and the whole family was there. I don't know why we were there. I don't know. The family get together. Birthday party, holiday, I don't know. But we were watching Tremors, right? And I was like, yeah, Tremors on TNT, because they used to play it on TNT all the time.
TNT was the best.
Yes. And I'm watching it, and a whole bunch of other family members are there watching it, and then it comes to that scene where Bert and Heather, they're shooting their guns, and like they run out of bullets. So like they're like, oh, and they turn, and then the big reveal, they have an entire 12-foot long wall of various firearms, and it's just awesome. Like the camera zooms out and pans back, and boom, it's just like handguns, shotguns, rifles, machine guns, probably a few illegal guns, like every kind of, even, and like it's just this funny moment. I remember when that moment happened when I was a kid. I was watching with my family. All my uncles just started laughing. They all just started laughing, going, "Holy crap, this is great!" So anyway, we got this great scene where like Bert and Heather are just firing everything at it. Remember, these things are huge. They're like the size of at least a killer whale, if not bigger. So their firearms are like, it's clearly hurting the graboid, but it's not really damaging it.
Because its exoskeleton is so tough, it's not doing anything. Then I think they realized they got to aim for the mouth.
Yeah. At one point, like, Bert shoots a shotgun blast down his mouth, and that causes a little bit of damage. One of the snake tongues grabs him and pulls him in. And then, Heather shotgun blasts the thing apart and saves his ass. It's all good. So then after that, like, Bert's like, man, nothing's working. We've got like handguns, rifles, nothing's good. So he breaks the glass on his emergency, pulls out a big ass double barrel elephant gun. Loads it with the biggest bullets I've ever seen in my life.
Comically large.
I know, right? Loads that thing up. Bam! Bam! And that finally kills the graboid.
Throw flare.
Oh yeah,
at one point.
Yeah, at one point, it's just a flare gun. It just like maybe distracts the graboid for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the great part. It's just like they throw everything at it, every kind of gun, every kind of bullet. They just, and it's just this great excess of like, it's gun porn. This is gun porn. They gun this thing.
Oh my God! Oh, we're gonna have to bleep that out.
Broke into the wrong rec room, didn't you?
But the victory is kind of short-lived because, like, they finally get up on top of the roof, Bert and Heather. He tries the elephant gun again.
Because another one comes, number 3.
Yeah, but it's just not working because the other ones are still underground, so even the elephant rounds can't penetrate the dirt. So then they come up with the idea, okay, well, Bert and Heather's truck gets wrecked by the graboid after they can't kill it.
Because they're learning.
They're learning.
And they take the truck.
Yeah, they take the truck out. Well, even the alarm goes off and stuff.
Yeah.
That's another thing about the graboid. They get smarter, and they're like, it's kind of like, how the raptors in Jurassic Park are pretty intelligent. Mm-hmm. The longer they live, the more close to that kind of intelligence. So they're like never human smart. They're not like reading books or anything. Like, oh yes, Walt Whitman, yes.
Yeah.
But they get smart. They start to catch on to stuff. So, so they come up with the idea of like, hey, we got the bulldozer. If we strap the old semi to the back of the bulldozer, the graboids couldn't handle the bulldozer. There's no way they're going to handle that thing. It weighs several tons. And then everyone could ride in the back of the semi. The only problem is the bulldozer is on the other side of town.
Yep.
Even though it's a small town, that's still a long way to go when you got giant carnivorous worms coming out everywhere. So once again, Val and Earl have a rock, paper, scissors, decide who's going to make the run for the bulldozer. Earl wins again because he's the king of rock, paper, scissors.
He is.
which continues on into the second film. He never loses.
Aw.
He never loses, but they're best friends, and Val, he doesn't want his friend to get killed, so he gives him an elbow, takes off, runs. And they sent out a tractor, Walter Chang's tractor, to distract the graboids.
Oh, right.
To give Val a head start, but it topples over, and I guess it hits the off button when it topples over.
Something.
So it comes after, and Val's got to like he's got to stop, he's got to be careful. You know, like, I'm like, oh shit, we're about to lose Kevin Bacon. The graboids have never had bacon before, so they're really going to like this. But then Rhonda has a great idea. She kicks the pipe off the water tower. That gets them back over. Val gets to the bulldozer, straps on the semi-trailer. He takes off, and the graboids can't do shit about it. Yeah. Because as long as they can't handle it, they can't knock it over. Because Hector. Oh, we forgot about Hector gets killed earlier.
Yeah.
He's like in his like little mobile home. It gets knocked over by the graboids. He lands on the ground. He's like freaking out. What do I do? He just gets on top of a tire sitting on the ground and gets sucked down into the tire. And there's another gruesome kill in the movie. We see Melvin start to cry because that's his dad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they get everybody on the tractor trailer because it's basically the bulldozer is basically a tank for the graboids. As long as they get Bert and Heather, who are on top of their house making homemade dynamites, homemade bombs. They get into the track. They get right in because even though like they can't knock over the bulldozer, if they let the bulldozer sit long enough, they can kind of bury it.
Yeah.
So they get moving. And it seems really good. They're heading to the mountains. Once they get on top of the mountains, the graboids can't follow them.
Can we real quick? It's taking Bert and Reba so long to select what they want to bring with them, and the graboids are getting closer and closer. And I'm just like, just throw your stuff in the thingy. Just throw it and go. And they're like, Bert, hurry up! And he's like, I gotta pick my stuff.
Yeah. Like, wait, which rifle should I go with? And
just throw all of them in there. For the love of God, throw them all. And I'm sitting there like, I can't watch this.
They're so caught up in the Doom prepper lifestyle that they don't realize you got to stop prepping once the shit's here.
Yeah, right? You can't keep...
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But they're okay with each other because that's how they live.
Yeah, I was just like, I can't do this.
So they're heading towards the mountains on the bulldozer with everyone in the semi in the back. And there's a point where the graboids are getting smarter. They set a trap. They hollow out part of the Jeep trail, and the bulldozer just goes down into this pit. And now they're like, well, crap, we're stuck. What do we do? And like the graboids are coming. That's when Bert lights his like homemade stick of dynamite, throws it, boom. And the graboids go like, I don't know, it's not flying. That happens later. Flying. They head out. They like, because they feel like, oh, they're sensitive to sound. A fucking explosion going off must hurt their ears bad. Like, of course it hurts our ears, but imagine them. So they're like, okay, there's a big group of boulders far away. We got to make it. So Rhonda comes up, throw another bomb. They'll go running, and that'll give us plenty of time to get to the boulders. So now they're on the rocks, and now everyone starts turning on each other because, like, well, what's the plan? We're stuck here now.
Yeah.
And once again, they get creative because that's all this movie is like about people in a horrible situation using their wits and their creativity and their ingenuity to get out of all these situations because, you know, there's no easy way to stop these things. So Earl comes up with the idea that we're going to strap each one of these bombs to like a rope and throw it out and like drag it back. And so the graboids will come and grab it. So Val and Rhonda are throwing rocks to get to see where one of the graboids are to get them in one spot. Earl, lasso techniques, throws out the stick of dynamite after it's lit, draws it back, and then boom, the graboid comes up, grabs it, and then boom, and then graboid guts go spilling everywhere.
You could make 100 salads.
The weirdest salad ever. What is this? Oh,
it's exotic.
Smells.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but they all get covered in like graboid guts and goo.
Yeah.
But they're all happy. They're like, this is worth it. This is like, you know, like we're covered. Like Fred's got like Earl's got a huge chunk. Like, look at the movie, watch it again. He's got this huge chunk on the side of his shirt right here. And he doesn't even react to it. It just plops off.
He's just like, all right.
So they do the technique again, except this time Val wants to get the last one because the last one left is Stumpy, the one that had its snake ripped out from the truck.
Oh, yeah.
So this is it. This is like the final boss. And he does it, throws it out, grabs it, pulls it down. And they're like, yeah. shout time, slime head, whatever he says. But then it spits it back out. And apparently graboids can spit really hard because that thing goes 50 fucking feet. Mm-hmm. Lands, not only just lands on the boulders where they're all hanging out, it lands on the bag with the other bombs they have.
Oh, that's right.
Massive explosion. Everyone jumps off the rocks. Thankfully, everyone survives. But Val, Earl, and Rhonda really took off because they're like a good 50 feet away now themselves.
How?
They start running back to the boulder, but Stumpy comes up. They stop dead in their tracks. Like, be quiet. Stumpy goes back down. But Val's on to him. He's like, this guy's learning. And like Earl's like, throw the bomb because he had a spare bomb in his hand. Val's like, it's our last one. And everyone's like, throw the bomb. And Val's like, nah, I got a plan. He starts running because Earl was like giving him hell earlier in the movie because Val never plans anything. He always just knows what he's feeling that day. He's running. Earl's running. The Stumpy comes back up. He's like, I'm still here, bitch. They're running. Rhonda's running with them because she's got the lighter to light it. So they get to the edge of the cliff, which is the same place they were at the beginning of the movie.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's the same cliff where Val was taking a pee off of and they were doing the work. So Val's like, they're like, throw the bomb. He's like, no, not yet. You're not yet. And the thing comes flying at them. He's like, now throw the bomb. He throws it behind the graboid. It goes off. Now the graboid's in pain. It's running at them even harder. Earl and Rhonda are like, nice knowing you. They take off.
Yeah.
Val doesn't move. Val doesn't move because he wants it to still stay focused on him. At the last second, he jumps out the way, and the graboid goes flying out the side of the cliff, and then Val goes to the edge of it.
Can you fly, you sucker? Can you fly?
It goes flying and splatters on the valley floor, and it's like, yeah.
Woo!
And they're all looking at it, and Val just looks at it like, just hit me all of a sudden. Stampede. And they all have a laugh. And they brought back the Stampede.
And Rhonda laughs even though she doesn't know what they're referencing. She just wanted to be a part of something.
Yeah, she's like Bender in that one episode of Futurama where he just jumps in the river because the others jumped in. He's just like, I wanted to be part of it.
She did. She didn't know what he meant.
Yeah. So, cut down. It's like a day or few days later, whenever they're back in town. Val and Earl, and now, the reporters are there. Police came in, all of them. They're getting ready to go to Bixby. They're just going through with their plans. Val and Rhonda have a little talk, like, hey, glad you're okay. Glad I saved your life. Yeah, I saved your life. Blah, blah, blah. Earl's looking at Val, and Val's just like, he's not acting like it. He's acting all nervous and stuff, and he's just kind of keeping his answers to Rhonda real short. And she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go then. She walks off. And Earl just slams out of the truck, and Val's like, oh, I'm like, I'm working on it. He starts walking off because he realizes now he's fallen for Rhonda, but he's like,
he's got to get moving.
He's got to get moving, but he's like, I'm just some dumbass cowboy. What does she want with me? She's like, yeah. And she walks up to him, and she's like, hey, Rhonda, and he's like stumbling on his words, and he's like, and then boom, wraps his arm, gives her the big smooch. Camera pans away, credits roll, Reba McEntire song plays, and it's a happy ending. Which, little bit of trivia, that was not the original ending to the movie.
What was the original ending?
The original ending was a little bit different. And the original ending was Val and Rhonda have a little conversation where he doesn't like pony up and says like, hey, you want to go on a date or something. They get in the truck. They head to Bixby. Earl's giving him because he didn't tell Rhonda that he likes her. And then and Val like slams on the brakes, turns the truck around, heads back into town to go talk to Rhonda. And then the credits roll.
Oh.
They showed the movie to a test audience, as they do for most movies, and the test audience said, we hate the ending. We want to see him and like Rhonda like kiss, or at least him ask him out. So they went back and shot the new ending, the much happier ending, which I agree with. So, because why not
for closure?
Yeah, because this movie doesn't take itself too seriously, so let's just have the nice Hollywood ending. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's real good like that. Anyway, that's Tremors. And now the moment that Jess has been waiting for. Jess, tell everybody about Tremors and my bachelor party.
Vincent's bachelor party. That was 2 or 3 years ago now?
At least 1.5. Because I had my...
How long have you been married?
About a year and a half. So, yeah. So we're just going to say a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay. Bachelor party.
Bachelor party.
We're bachelor partying.
Yeah.
As we do.
Yeah.
And then we go back to your brother's home.
Yeah.
And he watched Tremors with you a lot growing up too.
Oh, we both love the movie, yeah.
All the time. Because, I don't know how much you want me to say. We can censor it. As one is during their bachelor party, typically, you were inebriated, perhaps a small amount. And
Being very gentle, thank you.
When Vincent is inebriated, perhaps a small amount, he needs all of his friends to know how much he loves us.
I'm an affectionate drunk.
You are, and it was so cute. And as we're watching Tremors, you would be like, Jess, you're one of my best friends. You know, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're in my life. Then you just cut and you quote something with your brother.
I would. I bounce between telling everybody how much I love them and Jess made like, what happened to Edgar? I'm just like quoting the fucking movie.
Like, Jess, I was like, what happened to Edgar? Yeah. Jess, really though, you're one of my best friends. And you and your brother, Anthony, would just quote it right along with you. And it was the funniest experience because it was like that for the whole movie.
Yeah.
And you were having a blasty blast. You were having the best time.
Yeah. Oh god, because I remember like we were either gonna watch that or Django Unchained.
Yeah.
And we went with Tremors. Most people, everyone who was at the party who had seen it before, they were like, "Oh yeah, let's watch Tremors." Because I didn't have a usual bachelor party. I didn't go to the strip club. We didn't go to the strip club enough.
No,
My
it was
bachelor,
Dave & Buster's.
Yeah.
And we lost you. Vincent's like 6'2". I don't know. You're not a small guy, and there are like 5 or 6 of us.
Yeah.
And the Dave & Buster's here is not large. And next thing we know, we're like, where is Vincent? We're all looking for you. And then we find you just casually walking around. No clue how between 6 of us we could not find you.
Well, here's the thing. I was definitely intoxicated at that point. I wasn't hammered at that point, but I remember because like I had already had like a beer or two, and then my brother got shots, so like I was enough where I was like off, and I was intoxicated enough, but I remember why I walked off. I don't remember what, but you guys were all playing some game or something, a game I did not care about. I didn't care about the game at all, so I decided to go check out what other games there were. And I wasn't avoiding anybody, just somehow in my intoxicated stupor, I already had at least 2 beers, a shot, and I had another beer in hand that I was going through. And I didn't mean to, but somehow I just avoided everybody. We
were all looking for you.
Yeah, because the Dave & Buster's we're at is not the biggest Dave & Buster's there, but it's still a good sized one, enough where you have plenty of games, plenty of things to do. But my brother brings this up every time we talk about the bachelor party. Mike brings it up. Our friend Mike brings it up too. And we're like, I was just gone for 20 minutes. And I wasn't even trying to avoid people. I was just like, but anyway, so later, yeah, we go back to my brother's place, and then we're watching Tremors, and
we were having some whiskey.
We were having some whiskey, like more like my brother prepared. He was a good my brother was also my best man, and he wanted to make sure I had a great time.
And he made me cry at your wedding.
Yes, yeah. My brother gave a great best man speech. We have a recording of it somewhere, but yeah. I just remember but that was a good time, and just get drunk and being affectionate with people.
Yeah.
And also, I was so drunk where at one point I turned to my sister-in-law and I asked her a question, thinking I was whispering. Apparently, I was not whispering because I'm not going to say what I said, but it's because I whispered because it was personal. I didn't find out till like a year later that you guys heard me.
So, yeah, we heard all of it.
Yeah.
You thought you were whispering, but you're like, "Can you pass the salt?" It's a Batman reference.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a fun night. It was also another night where, like, between, I guess, getting drunk and Tremors, I was, I'm going to drive myself home.
We were like, you most certainly will not.
I didn't do the shots math in my head.
No, you didn't, because maybe a day or two later, you recalled, oh, wait a minute, did I do shots? Like, yeah, you did not get like that off of 3 blue moons, Vincent.
Okay.
Oh, no. So, yeah, you slept at Anthony's.
Yeah, I slept at Anthony's on the couch.
Tremors. Bringing people together.
Yeah. But because me and Anthony really did love Tremors as a kid.
Yeah.
Because there's another thing. I probably told you about before. When we were kids, me and Anthony, we didn't play The Floor is Lava. We played The Floor is Tremors.
Yes.
So we would be on the couch or chairs. I remember we would have cheats. We would throw a pillow on the ground and pretend like we could get on the pillow to get to another couch. But yeah, no, we big Tremors fans, me and my brother. If you played The Floor is Tremors instead of Floor is Lava, let me know down in the comments. I want to know if me and my brother were the only ones.
You couldn't have been the only ones.
No. All right. So that is Tremors and my bachelor party.
Yes.
I don't know what to say. plenty of memorable characters, great monster designs, a tight script where everything is tons of stuff is set off, paid off. Everything is like you understand everything that's going on. Everyone giving awesome, fun, campy performances. The movie that's gone on to have a great big cult following with plenty of sequels, some better than others. But 7 movies spread out over 30 years. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Tremors. Like, Jess, you got anything left you want to say about Tremors?
I really like the scene where Kevin Bacon and friend are trying to tell everybody in the store how important this is.
Yeah.
And Kevin's really into it. He's being really intense, and he runs over to the wall and he rips off the tiniest map I've ever seen. And it's just the juxtaposition of this little tiny paper map and Kevin just, and it's probably one of the funniest parts of the movie to me. I don't know.
This valley is one long smorgasbord. We have got to get out.
So that's what I wanted to add.
Well,
that I think is maybe an underrated scene.
Yeah, Tremors, awesome movie. Love it. I'll always love it. I've watched it a million times. I'll probably watch it a million more times before I die. But yeah, Tremors.
He loves it.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, if you love Tremors, let us know down in the comments who are your favorite characters, what are your favorite moments, stuff like that. Please let us know down in the comments, and like and subscribe and all that stuff.
Yeah, thanks for watching, friends.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time on Refresh Cinema.
Bye. And our high five.
Yeah.
Yes.